Hello everyone. I want to make some reviews of what painters do on YouTube. For instance, when they mix colors from primary colors to a whole palette of colors.
Since posting my last video on mixing flesh tones for painting portraits, I've had several artists ask why I use so many colors on my palette. You can see here I have about 15 colors that I use every day as I'm working on a painting, specifically on portraits. And a lot of these colors are what I would refer to as convenience colors. In other words, they're not necessary on my palette in order to paint, but they just save me time from having to mix them every time that I sit down to paint. So what I want to do today is I'm going to show you a very limited palette over here of just 4 colors plus white, and how you can get a pretty close or very similar palette to what I have over on this side. What I have here are basically the 3 primary colors. I have 2 blues here, which I'll explain in just a minute, but first let me just tell you about the colors, the other colors that I have. I have a yellow, which is, these are all Winsor Newton colors. This is a Winsor Lemon. This red here is a permanent rose. The blue here, the darker blue here, is the French Ultramarine blue, and this slightly lighter blue here is a Manganese Blue Hue. And then I have...
Now I shall not follow all the colors starting at the bottom, but only a couple of them. Another time maybe we can do the other ones.
Titanium white at the top here. Now, all you really need are the 3 primary colors, yellow, red, and blue, in order to mix many of these colors. The reason I have the 2 blues here is because in order to get some of these colors, specifically these ranges of different greens, I need a little more than just 1 blue, and the ultramarine blue just isn't quite enough on its own, and the manganese blue just isn't quite enough on its own for me to get these. So that's why I've incorporated 2 here. But if you only have 1 blue, you can get pretty close, but this will just get you a little bit closer to some of these greens. Now, a lot of these colors that I have on my palette are cadmium colors. In other words, they contain cadmium, which really gives you some of these really bright colors, some of these bright yellows and bright reds and the bright green here. I can get pretty close to some of those colors, but on some of them I can't get quite the brilliance that you can straight out of the tube, and that's another reason why I use some of the convenience colors. Another factor is that, say with alizarin crimson or a lot of times with this sap green, getting the transparency to be the same is often difficult, especially on the sap green, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. If you tried a different blue, perhaps you could get a little different result, but with the blues that I have here, I can get close to this color, but as far as the transparency, it's a little more opaque than what I can actually get straight out of the tube. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and start trying to mix. I'll start from the left here and kind of work my way around. The first color is that raw sienna. So let's see if take a little bit of that Winsor Lemon and that permanent rose. Mix those 2 together. Of course, that's too much on the orange side, so I'll take some of that French ultramarine blue and mix that in there also. It's got a lot of oil in it, you can see as I'm splattering all over the palette here. Take a little more of a permanent rose. Because I not only want to try to get into the correct color family, but I also want to try to, I have to get the correct value as well in order to get it to look like that same color. you get closer, it's pretty close. It's a little dark, so I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of yellow in there. That's pretty good for a raw sienna. So I'll take that and stick that over here. Now the next color is that gold ochre. I could actually just take a little bit of that same color that I just mixed and add more yellow to it. Every time that I'm getting set to dip into one of these colors over here, I'm cleaning off my palette knife